But let's hit the topics you've got first, because it sounds like you worked very hard for us. And
absolutely not.
we
appreciate
that.
We came up with these at like the end of the last.
I'm
podcast.
proud of you. I'm proud of you.
I did have next week's planned though. Next week I did have planned out, but in any case, welcome to this week's rendition of the Game Development Club at San Jose State's podcast number 4. Joining us this week, we have special guest, former president and game developer.
Hi, I'm Andrew Jamian.
That's him. He's Andrew. It's him. Everyone is here, guys.
Data is the new bacon, everyone.
Oh, they can't see that. Yeah, Data is the new bacon. And then, of course, we have 3 of our recurring guests, speakers, whatever you want to call them. Introduce yourselves in any order.
Hello, it's me. I am Lily.
Me, Mario.
And, of course, we have...
Everyone, I just want you to know that Mario's here. We have Mario and AFK Matt, who is I'm pointing at because he's in the upper right, upper left of my screen.
For me, you're on the upper left, so like you're not pointing at anything.
See, it's perfect.
Okay. In any case, Matt is here.
Designed this so well.
He's AFK. So we'll just go on to the topic list. This week's topic list is, let's see, the worst combat systems in games. We're going to talk about the worst of the worst, the ones we dislike the least, and kind of elaborate on them. Combat alternatives in games, systems of how games deal with conflict without actual combat. What happened to single player modes in multiplayer games? Touch on that after the combat alternatives, and then we're going to go to the recurring segment, game idea generator. So, the first top of the docket, the worst combat systems in games. Kevin, I believe you actually want to start this one, if I remember correctly from last week.
The worst combat right now on my head is Minecraft, but I'm trying to remember if I had another one that was like worse than Minecraft.
That's a reasonable one.
Minecraft is very reasonable, yes. It turns out left clicking and dodging isn't very in depth.
It's not even dodging. It's just
it's just moving. Yeah, it's just moving. Yes. I mean, it's dodging in a way.
Okay, so strafing is a cool mechanic when strafing is actually fast. See, movement is both a defensive and offensive mechanic in some games. Not in Minecraft. It's kind of neither in Minecraft.
Minecraft would be like the same game if it didn't have a combat system at all, honestly. Or like
it would be the same game without an Ender Dragon and without all the other monsters that are running around.
That's fair.
When you
I don't know. I think Minecraft. I think fundamentally what makes Minecraft, if you take the crafting out, obviously, is creepers. They're the only thing that actually makes it not just a sandbox where you build stuff. Because the creeper is the fundamental threat to your existence.
The sandbox where you build stuff is the main part of Minecraft. It was like the first game that did that.
I don't know, when
been a miner.
When I first bought Minecraft in Alpha,
Jesus, man, I have to raise your volume.
Sorry, is my mic like super high?
No, it's super low. Okay, keep going.
Oh, I can hear him just fine.
For me, he's just right.
I think I lowered him too much. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. On Minecraft, when I got it when it was in like Alpha, and surviving the very first night, the survival mode anyway, definitely like the zombies and the skeletons coming at you felt more purposeful. I guess over time, when you're just like, oh, I just want to build stuff, then yeah, you're kind of like, why do I have to fight these things? This is silly. I hardly ever make swords. But yeah, creepers though and endermen are kind of the antithesis of building though. So
well, I think well, okay. I was going to say I think it's mostly creepers, but technically endermen do steal blocks.
Yeah.
But usually when I'm like at home, I can't really remember a time when the enderman has just stolen a piece of my house, and I've just been like, hey, give that back, and then they don't give it back. But I like the point that Andrew made that like I think, well, staying on topic, like Minecraft's combat system is just not in depth.
No,
but I think for the purposes of it not being the main focus of the game, it's not like it's not a sin for the game to not have.
No, I mean the combat system is like literally the only reason I do not play that game, because it's just so boring.
I think that's totally fair. I also feel like walking in that game feels kind of terrible, and it just takes too long to make maps. No, like those are kind of the things that like for me take away from the experience overall. Oh, the number one killer of Minecraft though was something they added later. I actually liked Minecraft even with the combat, even with the combat being where it was.
Is it hunger?
Until they added hunger. The moment they added hunger, it stopped being an adventure game and it started being a camp in your base game, because you had to, build a farm and do that. You couldn't just go off and do something when you logged onto a server. I mean, and that kind of killed it for me.
For me, it kind of just changed my daily routine, where it was like I kind of already like for me, like everyone's playstyle is different in Minecraft. And that's kind of what makes it interesting. But for me, I always kind of just had a farm, and I didn't mind just because I always had food on me anyway. So it just became now the food just becomes to keep the hunger bar up. But I think it was annoying having another ticker that you had to keep track of.
No, I think okay. So one thing about that though. So the movement in Minecraft, you can mod that, right? I think like smart moving is a really good mod. That has a lot of options, right? But then you can't mod the combat system, or like you can't mod it well.
It's also very hard to get rid of the hunger system. Notably.
There's options. You can just disable that. Like,
yeah, I think you can.
Okay, so they may have added that later, but initially you couldn't do it exactly. Like there was something I don't remember what the catch was, but it didn't fully get rid of the hunger system when you turned it off. I think that they have, if I remember correctly, there are 3 modes in there. There's like the adventure mode, the survival mode, and the
creative,
like the free build mode.
Creative, yeah.
Right. Creative, yeah.
I think there's a 4th one now. It's adventure mode.
Yeah.
No, I said adventure.
Oh,
yeah, I said
adventure. Hardcore. And there's also
hardcore.
Oh, hardcore, right? Okay, yeah, hardcore's been there. Adventure came. It was the latest edition, I think. But the thing is, for me, the thing that's weird is that adventure has the hunger system, and that feels so out of place in adventure. Whereas, like in survival, I expect the hunger system.
The adventure mode was added specifically for map creators that were working on the kinds of maps where you still want combat, but you don't want them to break blocks, like the Legend of Zelda custom map, which is dope. Like, I think it is weird that it doesn't disable hunger though, because then it's just like, I don't think hunger isn't a thing in Zelda, thankfully. And it isn't in Breath of the Wild, obviously. Except hearts.
So, just kind of throwing this out there. What do you guys think of the stamina bar instead of the hunger bar in
Breath of the Wild? I mean,
no. Taking a stamina bar and sticking it in Minecraft.
With hunger or instead of hunger?
No, instead of hunger. Instead of hunger.
If it recovers quickly enough, I don't mind. It depends on how annoying it becomes.
Smart moving has that.
Oh yeah, dude, smart movement is one of the best mods where it adds like parkour and climbing. That one's awesome.
So I will say one thing.
That one's sick.
Dolphin diving too.
Oh yeah, dude.
just so this doesn't feel like me bashing Minecraft a lot.
Yeah.
There are things I really like about Minecraft, and probably the thing I have the most respect for on the team is that they left it moddable, and I really have a lot of respect for games that manage to keep the systems they have in the core game to a minimum and allow for a lot of expansion on top of them. Like it really kind of sells its selling point being that it's a sandbox. Having it be a moddable sandbox is even more so.
The 2 most popular examples, of course, are gonna be like Skyrim and Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I was because the
at
thing
some
about
point it becomes like eventually you just become dependent on mods. Like I just cannot play vanilla Minecraft or vanilla Skyrim.
I'm just gonna say that was last week's topic, but since you segued into Skyrim, I actually think that like Skyrim is sort of like Skyrim's combat system is sort of the natural end to Minecraft's combat system, where it adds enough complexity to it where it becomes interesting at least. Because they're kind of the same. Like obviously it's like magic and stuff and like mana, but I mean like those additions and layers on it.
If Minecraft had Skyrim's magic system, that would be so good.
Yeah, instead of just
They
throwing
already
a
have like
potion.
an alchemy system though.
They do, yeah.
The potion system's so bad.
Well, what's bad about it?
I don't know. I always liked.
First of all, can you stack potions? Because I know before you couldn't. Can you stack them now?
I don't know. I haven't played for a while.
Also, every single potion is effectively the same because you have to throw it and then it does something.
Yes.
Skyrim, you actually have like different types of. My computer just crashed. Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were getting Robotnik there for a second, but I mean another combat style that I actually don't remember where it originated. I think it was actually Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 2. Was what a lot of people now call the Arkham system of fighting, where it's just kind of like jab, like parry, and then like dodge or something. Like Assassin's
Sounds
Creed
like
had.
Dark Souls.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
Well,
man.
no.
That's
Dark
weird.
Souls. Dark Souls is different. Dark Souls are fundamentally different. I mean the one where you like lock on to one person. It's like Assassin's Creed has it. Not so much the newer games, like not so much Origins, but like 3 and 4
okay,
had
yeah,
it.
I get what you're saying.
Arkham City. I don't think Asylum did. Arkham City, Asylum. The whole Arkham series had
Yeah,
it.
I remember
I
Assassin's
think
Creed 3 is
Shadow
so
of
easy.
Mordor had it.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed 3, like, I own that game. It's like the first Assassin's Creed game that I owned and played. The combat system made it so easy to just, like, slaughter the entire,
Oh.
like, legion of soldiers.
You should have seen Assassin's Creed 1. Literally,
Oh, dude.
target counter kill, target counter kill, target
Uh-huh.
Okay,
counter.
no.
Yeah.
See, those games where like the actual combat is locked onto a enemy seems very weird to me. Like even in Dark Souls, it's not like your combat is locked to an enemy. Only your camera is locked to the enemy.
So I think they also used. I'm not entirely sure how Dark Souls does it. I haven't taken enough time to study it yet, and I haven't had a chance to actually play the original one at least. But I know that games like the Arkham games, I think, used animation-driven combat.
Yes.
So
And-
like all of the everything was driven by the animations.
In the regular gameplay, they would actually like for newer players, they would prompt people with like, "Yo, watch this super!" It's like the Spire Sense thing, where it's like, "Whoa, what?" Like lasers would come out. Okay, not lasers, but like there would be a visual cue indicator that you're about
Confetti
to be attacked.
lasers would come out of their brains.
Confetti lasers, yeah, exactly. And then you'd know, oh, I have to hit the Y button to counter.
Wait, when you
Like,
say all
I think it's-
animation driven, what's the alternative?
The alternative is effectively just data driven. You just like have a collider appear in a place.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, I see.
Oh yeah.
That's like kind of the traditional way, or you might just do a raycast. But like with an animation driven system, the animation drives all of the gameplay. So it's when that fist goes out, then the collider is there because the fist is there,
Yeah.
basically.
And yeah, no, like fighting games, right?
Yeah, like Skull.
Yeah, like
Fighting.
fighting games.
Yeah. Oh, Skullgirls.
Skullgirls
That's
all hand-drawn animation. So
It is really beautiful. Like
Yeah.
all fighters that have that kind of style are amazing. But like it's not. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad system, but I think it's starting to become a little overdone and overstaying its welcome.
Wait, what?
That kind of like lock on style where you just press a button to do everything. Like visually, it's really interesting because even Assassin's Creed nails it. Like where you have like that, like oh, you catch their arm and you stab them in the chest,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's cool. But like, it's getting old. Like it's been maybe 7 years, and a lot of the games that have it, it's not a lot of variety in there.
Okay, see, I'm gonna being the Dark Souls fanboy I am, I'm gonna say that I think the the epitome of combat system evolution is Bloodborne. Because
Keep
I've
going.
never played Bloodborne.
okay,
I've watched
because
you play
see,
Bloodborne.
you have camera lock on, right? But that's only your camera. It doesn't actually lock on your your character into attacks, right? You'll always be attacking in the direction you're facing, and you can face like different directions from your camera. And then the combat system, it's not like an intense combo system either, where you have to memorize combos or anything. You can chain like a couple of attacks, but for the most part, each attack is independent, and there's only like a few attacks, right? But all the combos and anything you pull off is all because like you did it. Like it's all based on like player skill, on how you can chain the attacks, how you can time them, how you can space them out to dodge other stuff. And then I think honestly the dodge roll from Dark Souls and Bloodborne is probably one of the best additions I've ever seen to a game.
Wait, then that kind of reminds me of Overwatch. Then
Like,
that's also animation based.
Overwatch is an animation, or okay, it's sort of animation based, but
No, it isn't.
Do they? No, I think they're all hit scan. Oh no, they're not hit scan. I take that back. They are not hit scan.
no,
They
I'm
actually
not-
are
Some
all
of them are hit
projectile.
scan. Some
No,
of
no,
them
they're
are
all
I'm talking about melee
well,
characters.
Up until
McCree-
recently, I believe that none of the characters used hit scan. At least there's a dev talk where they specifically say that they use only projectiles, which is interesting because you would think that that's not usually what's done in games, especially
what-
shooters.
Wait, what
Isn't
about
Widowmaker hit
and-
scan?
Yeah, Widowmaker.
No, I think
Soldiers hit
Widowmaker
scan.
just has a really fast projectile.
Oh, so it's not exactly hit scan, but it's effectively.
It's not hit scan. There's still a projectile going from A to B.
It's probably for Genji.
What do you mean? Genji's definitely projectile.
No,
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so it's consistent, so that he can still reflect. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense actually.
Yeah, like everything is projectiles, which is actually a really interesting design choice because that's 100 times harder than using a raycast in multiplayer.
What about
online multiplayer?
Is Reinhardt when Reinhardt swings, does that make a hitbox or is it?
No. Okay, the way I'm pretty sure that Reinhardt's hitbox works is that he swings and then after a slight delay, just like there's like a box collider in front of him.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Just makes damage because the hit definitely does not follow the hammer.
Can we just get someone from Blizzard to fact check this for us?
Yeah,
I would love to see. I would love to see them release some video of all of the melee characters' colliders. Andrew, that would actually be freaking beautiful.
Andrew, how about next time you and I just walk up to the Blizzard studios and just be like, "Look, we need to sit down."
You mean the armed fortress?
Yeah, we just walk up to the front
gate and get shot for no reason.
1, 2, 3 Blizzard way, and we're just like, "Look, we need to get in there, talk with Jeff Kaplan. We gotta sit down with this man and talk to him about these colliders. He probably has no idea."
Speaking of hitboxes, I remember
the only thing that's going to be colliding is the is our
to the ground when they
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's where I was going.
Okay, Lily, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just remembering how Team Fortress 2 hitboxes were messed up and they didn't fix it for like 7 years.
They're still not fixed.
Yeah.
what are you talking about? They're still not fixed.
Okay, so the thing you have to consider is that online multiplayer is a hard problem.
Mm-hmm.
In that you're having to do a lot of prediction, and even a game that makes you feel like you hit them is making a decision as to who actually made the hit. And that's why sometimes you'll be playing a game and you'll be like, why the heck did I just die when it seems like I shot first? So like in Overwatch specifically, they use they use an algorithm they call favor the shooter. So the person who shoots is likely to get the hit instead of the person like dodging. But or reflecting or whatever. So like it'll take priority. The shooter will take priority because they feel it's probably more frustrating to not get the block off or to get. Sorry, it's more frustrating to not have the shot hit than it is to have
the person survive.
A person survive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wait. How do you guys feel about lifesteal? Because I feel like that's a very...
How do I feel about lifesteal? Do you want a 20-minute conversation about Diablo 3?
I've never played Diablo 3, so no thanks.
I might play it when it comes out this week.
Actually, it's a good game, and I can give you a 2-minute version of the 20-minute.
Go ahead.
So lifesteal has to be done right. It's really, really terrifying when you accidentally lifesteal. So in the early days of Diablo 3, it was really hard to get anywhere at get to a high enough level. It was in the early days, but after a couple of the patches, because there was a point in this like gray area where the game was still really hard, but it had a lot of lifesteal gear, and if you needed to get good gear, you couldn't get over this little hump basically of difficulty.
Oh, actually, wait, before we start, what do you define lifesteal as? Because I think we're using different definitions.
So actually, yes. So I'll get there. So there were two types of lifesteal. There was what they called lifesteal, which was % of hit back to your health, and then there was life on hit, which was I hit you and I get a fixed amount of life. Those were the two types of lifesteal they had.
Oh yeah, no, I was just talking about in general, like when you hit someone, you get health back. Like just that general system.
Well, so yeah, but that's why this is interesting, because the way that you implement it matters. Like in this case, especially this case, but like in other cases too, I think. So the reason why that was relevant is basically there was a they realized that if they allowed players to get more than like 3% lifesteal, they would be outright broken. Okay, like if they could get more than 3% of the damage they dealt back as health, it was broken. But so they nerfed lifesteal, but they didn't nerf life on hit very much initially. And so life on hit was broken. You could basically be invincible if you got enough life on hit. You might not kill anything anytime soon, but you would just be able to tank pretty much any boss in the game. And so that was how you would get over that difficulty spike near the middle end. I think life on hit's a fun mechanic, or even lifesteal, like percent lifesteal. I think it's a really fun mechanic, but it has some serious balancing challenges.
Fair enough.
I was gonna say no. I think the best part about lifesteal is that you can basically convert a defensive system into an offensive system.
Yeah, I definitely agree with
Like
that.
that's basically how Bloodborne.
Oh, I knew he was gonna say it. Okay.
You know, I was gonna talk about the rally mechanic in Bloodborne. Yeah.
You know, I have managed to not say Doom once. Okay, until then, I'm trying not to because I've had Doom for each of these. Each of these I could use Doom. I'm trying my best not to.
Wait, Doom. Hold on. Doom has blood steal. Has life steal?
No, that's the only one I couldn't do an example with Doom.
Oh,
but,
okay, I was gonna say like a
Diablo had
life
a
steal
good one.
gun. That'd be dope. It like shoots out bangs and then just leeches health off of them.
I want that.
So
No.
the Warlock DK hero power.
Yeah,
That's a
basically.
great.
No,
3
but
damage, 3 heal.
so what I was saying is in Bloodborne. So compared to Dark Souls is a lot slower combat, and I think in Bloodborne they wanted to get rid of like hiding behind your shield. So instead, what they did is when you get hit, like a little portion of the damage you take is like it just kind of stays in your health bar, but like your actual health goes down, right? And then if you hit something within like a couple seconds, you'll get a portion of that health back. So
My
it's
friend brought his
not-
PlayStation over once. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. My friend brought his PlayStation over once, and I played through the first 3 bosses, and I thought that was a pretty cool mechanic. I actually got to play around with that.
Yeah, so it's not like you can just infinitely oh, actually no, you can infinitely lifesteal, but you require a very specific setup for that. Because there's like one oh my god, I haven't played the game. What are those called? Runes? I think they're called runes. There's one rune that lets you just get health off of visceral attacks. So you can actually just keep parrying and just keep gaining health until you kill an enemy. But then the rally mechanic that's built in, it basically you can't. It's not like a permanent lifesteal. It's only like a trading damage lifesteal. So if you take damage, you can heal that back. So it encourages you to stay in combat, which is I think pretty interesting.
I think I really like games that either encourage you to stay in combat or use movement or really use the things that you have at your disposal. Like I love games that use the things that you already have in almost any game as some form of combat tool. So I won't say Doom the original because I could talk for days about Doom the original, but I'm going to say Doom 2016 is good at this. Obviously, they do a lot of that push forward combat stuff, and it's not the only game that's ever done that. Obviously, the original Doom is good at this because strafing is really big in the original Doom. So basically, movement is an offensive and defensive ability. It's less about having armor and more about just dodging things. That's actually something that even in the games that I've been building, I've been trying to adopt as much as I could, was taking that movement is offense and movement is defense as kind of paradigms for the way that the game is developed. And so like I don't know if you guys saw the bubble gun in the game that I'm building right now in AudioZo, but it allows you to like propel yourself in your basically along your back vector, so you can push yourself backwards in a direction, but it also puts bubbles out in front of you, and so that means that enemies that try to follow you through that actually take damage. So it's both an offensive and defensive maneuver.
Sort of like rocket jumping then, but you can do it anywhere.
Yeah, that's anywhere in any direction,
Yeah.
without need of a wall. Yeah.
I think. Okay, so this is where I'm going to bring us into the next topic here of combat alternatives in games. What about the platformer system of combat? And by platformer, I guess it could technically include Ratchet and Clank, but obviously that's a shooter game. So I mean something like Mario or
Where you have to, like, literally
Ukulele
just
or
jump on
Banjo
them.
and Kazooie. Yeah, where it's
Like
not.
2D?
Yes, and 3D, both actually, because it's not like. Actually, wait a
Oh.
minute, shit. In some of the Mario games, you like spin and attack, but it doesn't. I mean, like, well, I Crash Bandicoot. Okay, see, this is
Alright,
what.
some of them
Does
have
that what
ground
count? First of all,
pounds.
what counts as combat?
Mario's Fire Flowers.
What counts as combat?
Does that count as combat for the platform?
Okay, here's the real question: are combat and conflict synonymous?
No.
I think
you can resolve conflict in ways other than combat.
And so what? In what?
Right,
Okay, so in what games would we consider them to not have combat systems but still resolve conflict?
Undertale.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, sir.
That is also true. Combat with words, maybe.
Yeah, combat with words.
Siege them with.
Oh, Fallout then.
Does Tetris count? Oh,
I was
actually,
thinking Mass Effect. That was definitely
Mass
one.
Effect has some diplomacy.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that counts as a conflict. That's just like you can't call a puzzle game a conflict.
I don't know. I think it is.
Hold
a conflict.
on.
It's
No.
a conflict with
Yeah,
you,
I agree with
you
Andrew.
fighting the top of the screen effectively.
No,
That's
hold
not-
on. But
that's
there's
just-
also
that's just broadened
Tetris.
the
Excuse you.
definition.
There is also Tetris Attack and Puyo Puyo Tetris, where it's a competitive multiplayer game where you're
That's
playing
true,
against other
that's true
players,
too.
trying to combat them, and like you throw items at them. Although that's not direct combat. That's kind of.
No, okay, no. If you can, how about this? If you can interact with the other person to hinder them, then
Still
it's
Tetris
Define
Attack
person.
and Puyo Puyo Tetris.
okay. No, then that's fine. But like in just like racing Tetris, that's not something you can do. Where you're like, or not racing. What's it called? What's that one where you just have two people playing Tetris and seeing which one can survive longer?
Two people playing Tetris.
Oh, versus Tetris versus.
No,
Yeah,
Tetris.
that's not conflict. That's just competition.
Okay, can I totally distract us for 2 seconds because we're talking about
Sure.
Tetris?
Okay.
Okay, have you guys seen that Tetris? That the VR Tetris? What was it called?
VR Tetris? How do you play that?
There's a video. It's Tetris Effect, and it's freaking cool. Here, I'm gonna blink it. I'm gonna just link it underneath this chat.
All right.
And I can't speak too much for it, but they had a very good Tetris player play it, and yeah, it's impressive and it's really quite beautiful. I can't remember the name of the dev who worked on it, but
Enhance.
he was, I believe, the dev who was involved with the game Rez. If you know the game Rez, so this, you can imagine what this game looks like.
What on
It
earth
looks-
am I looking at?
It looks like Tetris.
It just has.
This is
it's
not
just
Tetris. What is this?
Wait, no. This is Tetris with a massive amount of.
It is. It's particle Tetris.
Oh
Is
my
there
god!
any
Wait, I was
gameplay in this? Like, what am I looking at?
at the. Yeah,
No,
I don't
I'll
know.
show you. No, that's
it's
a
an
trailer.
announcement
Oh,
trailer.
oh, I see it. What the heck? This
They have special.
Why is
It has
that
a
even
special
in
mode.
VR? Why is that even in VR? Wait, hold on, wait.
Because this video makes a fairly decent argument for why it's in VR, but don't watch it on this because it's too long for us to watch it while we're having the conversation. This is a revisit it next week type thing, but I just want to like put this on the stack, so to speak. I want to know your opinions on this next week.
Okay.
Yeah, what if you? Oh man, 3D Tetris in VR would be dope.
They tried hilariously. They tried 3D Tetris on the Virtual Boy, and that didn't really go too well.
Lily's strategy is
Well, I
amazing.
mean, that Lily, what are you doing? No, that depends on that depends on what the control system is and how the gameplay functions. Because you can do 3D Tetris in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm. I think. Well, do you know what I'm talking about though? With they can't see. Okay, do you know what I'm talking about though with the Virtual Boy Tetris, where instead it's still the same tetranomino pieces. Or no, listen, it's just they're cubes now. So there's like a couple more orientations with that, right? But basically, instead of filling a line, you fill a
Cube.
plane.
Did
a
you
plane.
just say the cubes have
my
more orientations?
Oh, I meant the tetranominos. The tetranominos of cubes. I meant the tetranominos of cubes
like it's a
have
cube.
orientations.
You rotate it; it's the same every direction.
I mean, I think
It's
yeah,
angled
one-
Tetris.
one's for a
It's like that one game where like it's Tetris but with physics.
Wait, is this a hackathon game? We're just gonna make Cubris. It's just cubes.
No, I was gonna say
Wait,
once
what?
for a hackathon, I made a 4-dimensional Tetris game. Where
Oh, that's
basically,
cool.
yeah, basically, the pieces would scale down, and you had to fit them into a cube. Hold on, someone's calling. I need to pick it up.
Wow, Kevin. Anyway, I think so. Combat alternatives. Back on topic. I think diplomacy is one. Like Ace Attorney, not Ace Attorney. What is it? What am I thinking? It is Ace Attorney, isn't it? The one who goes like objection.
Objection. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's not conflict technically, or that's not combat technically, unless
Like,
unless
yeah,
like
it's just like a mystery.
I don't know.
Like it's just dialogue based.
What is the definition of combat? Because I mean, I would take, like, I'm gonna Google this right now because I would take an argument that is combat, because if someone can get the death sentence, I think that's combat.
It's dying dying at the end of the scenario counts as combat, I guess.
I think there's
Fighting
combat.
between armed
Yeah,
forces or to take action
in-
to reduce, destroy, or prevent.
Yeah.
So, by the
Oh, okay.
second
So I think by the second
by
definition, it does
by
seem
the
like
verb. So that's the verb definition. The verb definition of combat, which is what you're dealing with in a game, is, I would argue, very, very many things fit that definition.
Because the thing is, in one of the Ace Attorney games where it's like Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton, like the premise of the game is that Phoenix gets transported to like this magical town where they still believe in witches, and like he successfully successfully exposes a witch, and like she's like, no, like how could this happen to me? And then they carry out the execution on the spot, like in front of them. That's what happens in the game, and Phoenix is like, "What the fuck?"
The thing that makes that kind of weird is why is that's interesting that he was trying to fight for killing the witch, not saving the witch.
No, because the thing is because she committed a murder or something like that, and she tried to get away with it. But the thing is, like, what he didn't expect is that, like, from like they like put her like in this metal cage, and like they lowered her into like a pit of fire. Like
Wonderful.
They showed the animation. I was like, "Holy shit!"
That is a brutal execution.
I have to say one thing that doesn't cease to amaze me with Nintendo is just occasionally something slips through the cracks, and it's actually pretty intense.
Yeah, someone is venting at Nintendo or Capcom.
So yeah, alternative forms of combat.
Oh, okay.
I think like not alternative combat, but like at least conflict. You have like puzzles, you have mystery solving, you have like charming people, like dating sims, I guess, or
Yeah, dating sims is like, but I don't know. Dating sims is just basically all dialogue, and there's no. I don't know.
Matt's laughing because he's thinking of a specific game.
Oh.
I think.
Actually, I've been watching Steins Gate, where there's a character who's like really into dating sims, but I know what game you're talking about.
Okay, so two things on that, and then I know Kevin is about to speak. Sorry, Kevin. So Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh my god.
We'll just say that.
We'll
say that.
That's
and
different.
That's
different.
And then you mentioned Steins
Wait a
Gate.
minute.
I believe Steins Gate started as a visual novel.
Oh really? Okay.
That brings up a good point though. What about? Okay, actually, no. I was gonna say like Resident Evil, but obviously that has combat.
Hilarious.
That has shooting.
I think when we talk about
Doki
alternative
Doki
combat,
Literature Club might count.
has
I think
anyone
that one
seen
counts.
not seen the ending or played the ending of Doki Doki Literature Club in this chat?
I've seen it.
I know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it too.
So no spoilers, basically. Is
Oh,
what I'm
okay, yeah.
trying to say.
Spoiler warning for the
Spoiler
listeners.
tag for anyone listening.
Mhm.
You skip 2 minutes ahead. Okay, skip 2 minutes ahead. I'm literally going to take less than 2 minutes. Okay, so in Doki Doki Literature Club, you have to have a final battle with the only boss in the game, which is Monica, by literally deleting her file in your file system. Is that combat? We have to do this in 1 minute.
No, I'd say no because she didn't have a chance to retaliate.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not combat.
really-
That's slaughter.
That's like a pure scripted event, though. If you think
Yeah,
about it.
that is true. The scripted events don't count.
But wait, so but then there's no visual novel has combat
Yeah.
unless it has RNG. So RNG defines combat.
No.
Wait, hang on. There's one I can think of that has combat. Actually has combat.
Okay.
There was a Dream Daddy dating sim, and in conversation with one of the dads, you go into a Pokemon style battle, and something can actually win or lose.
Okay.
That's interesting.
That's
Wait,
combat.
sorry, I have
But
to
no,
go
that
back
is
to
combat.
the
That
final
is
boss
combat.
fight. I have to go back to the final
Yeah, you
boss
have 30
fight.
seconds before the spoiler warning's over. Go.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you go back to the final boss fight of Doki Doki, actually you can lose because if you don't figure out that you have to go into your file system, you can lose the game and Monica can defeat you. And I know people who that happened to.
But
Okay,
it's
that's
still
fair, but that's like
Wait
losing a
around?
quick time event.
Oh, got him.
But okay, so then is a quick time event combat?
No,
We can switch into that topic. Let's do that.
Okay, yeah, okay,
That's-
perfect. You got it perfect, Andrew.
That's
That's
good.
just a
It's a quick time event
is
combat.
a cutscene that requires you to like press a button.
But I would argue that
Is there-
that quick time events are a very shallow form of combat. Like I'm thinking The Walking Dead.
Oh
Where
yeah,
it's
like the
just,
Telltale
quick time
thing.
events.
Okay, rip Telltale by the way.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah,
I think
Telltale F. Press F.
press F.
No, I'm pretty. I think combat should require some like
More
thought to
agency.
it.
Yeah, more agency than just press a
more than
button.
Just like
Well, hold
I
on.
tell you to press this button, so you press the button.
Today is just like
Far.
counter
Tell a
Kevin
pigeon-
Day.
teach a pigeon to do that. Okay.
Today is counter Kevin Day because the Telltale system does have more agency. At least in the Batman one, where you can actually pick which way you want to approach combat.
Okay, no. If it has a choice, that's fine. That's different.
However, no, but see, I'm now countering my own point. Devil's advocate for the devil's advocate. Okay, you can pick either like one of them is like you can throw a batarang and like chop their leg off or no, okay, not that, but like you hit them in the leg or something, or you can just run up to them and bash them in the skull.
Does
But
it
it's
actually have a different effect?
yes, but
Okay, then
they
that's
still
fine.
like. The
So
ending is
if you
the-
have a
still win
choice
combat.
between winning
It's
and
just-
losing, if you have a choice between winning and losing, or winning and like, or winning and keeping things the same, okay. So there's three states: keeping things the same, winning and losing. If you have a choice between those three states and you make a choice, then that is combat.
Isn't that just most puzzle
That
games
is
then?
a quick time event.
That could still be
Isn't
a
that
quick
like
time.
Portal?
Well, so wait, where
Like
do
in
we-
Portal, I can just not do
that-
anything. Doesn't that
I
keep it
actually
the
just
same?
described the example from Doki Doki Literature Club again.
Well,
Okay, no.
spoilers.
I just factored it into three abstractions.
That's
Now
not
the
a
question is,
spoiler.
I'm not
Okay.
gonna actually say anything about
Yeah.
what that thing was. So I'm only going to say
I know.
now that thing from Doki Doki. But
I
like,
think,
but if you can factor it into three things, in which you have choices
No,
and
I
you have
don't-
to make an action against a character, is that combat?
Okay, with the
No,
action
okay,
against
first of all, combat has to be a two-way
Wait, I
thing.
think Matt was gonna say something.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, I think if you want to define or discern the difference between QuickTime events and the rest of combat, it would probably be that QuickTime events are very time-based, hence the name. So,
combat's-
and also in regular combat, you have more like, what do you call it? The three axes of movement or whatever, and then you're left up to whenever you want to, like attack for yourself, or it's kind of the player's choice versus certain times with certain.
But
buttons.
then,
So what if I made an argument that boats can have can be in combat?
what?
They don't have the same degrees of
Wait,
movement.
boats can be in combat.
Both-
No, that's
right.
Andrew's
That's
point.
yes.
Andrew's
That's my point.
Okay, no, yeah, no, but I think
Naval battle.
fundamentally, combat has to be like a two-way system.
Wait, hold
So
on,
my-
wait.
Actually, so by the definition of combat right here on Google that I linked you guys earlier, it says to take action, to reduce, destroy, or prevent.
Well, hold on.
Meaning
That okay. Now
it's one directional.
I have two things to say
It-
now.
Okay,
Like
but
if we as a country decide to nuke another country, is that combat? If they don't retaliate.
Okay, first of all, I think the definition
It
of
is up
combat
in the
that's listed in Google may or may not apply to games. And two, the point I want to get on like a minute ago was to Matt. So what about the combat system in the Arkham games? Is that a quick time event? Because it is time based.
Arkham games.
Because
Wait,
it's you just see him swinging the bat, like in let's say in hardcore mode where you don't have the lightning thing coming out of their head to let you know to hit the Y button to counter them. In the event where they don't have that, and you just see them swinging the bat, and I just hit Y at the right time to counter them, is that a quick time event?
that is probably a quick time event. I thought the Arkham games were similar to Assassin's Creed style combat.
It is almost the same.
yeah, that's basically a quick time event.
But like,
Might as well
because
be a quick time
there
event.
are, because I think again, devil's
But-
advocate, but I think there are different ways to handle it. Like even if you're about to get hit by a bat, you can just counter instead.
But Carlo, that's totally fair. Except that I think the difference there is that for like if I think of The Walking Dead or Telltale version of QuickTime events, it's just like a big script and you just have to go through these motions. But for the Arkham games, it's probably more of like the enemy. It's kind of what Kevin's saying. The enemy's free to initiate that when they will, and then you have to follow that kind of event through. So it's not like QuickTime as in like it's suddenly scripted. It's like it's kind of like this free flowing thing, but then suddenly you get this event happen. So
Yeah, I think if if both sides have some form of agency, and I guess the entire thing isn't scripted, then I think that's a better combat system. That would be a combat.
So okay,
system.
let's make this is a definition for
Wait.
combat in games.
Turn-based. I'm sorry. I have to go there for a second.
Oh,
Well,
I have to go
both
there.
agency in a turn.
I think there's a lot more agency, yeah. Because it's
Is
not.
there?
Okay.
It depends on
Have
the
you ever-
depends on the game.
Wait. Have you ever played a turn-based game in which you are not allowed to defeat the boss?
oh yeah, totally.
That exists. I know that exists.
Yes.
I've
Okay,
played
if
one of them.
you're not allowed to defeat the boss, but you still have agency in what you can do.
Yes, but the outcome. So does the outcome have to be different? Is that what you're suggesting?
But
Andrew?
what my argument is, I feel like that the fact that the outcome is fixed is what you guys are arguing for as the point that makes something like Doki Doki Literature Club's ending not combat.
No.
But I would argue that then that would also apply to any game that has a combat system, supposedly, that also does not let you kill or basically get the outcome you're looking for out of a boss
No, okay,
battle.
but in Doki Doki, the outcome is dependent entirely on your choices. It has nothing to do with the game's choices.
Well, it kind of has something to do with the game's choices, but you have to be smart enough to notice that like the game's giving you hints.
Well, that's not a choice. That's scripted.
It's true, but it's also a long script. If you have you ever run
I
through
mean,
that?
well, it's like that saying, like you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. The game can give you the choices, but the user can just bumble.
Yeah,
But
through it.
you also,
that is
but
entirely
But it's a
going
choice to
step
not make
further,
a choice.
you can make a
But-
user choice to not.
To not make the choice.
No, but
Yeah.
that's entirely on the user. There's nothing on the end of
Wait,
the...
but does not making the choice count as not like playing
See,
the game?
I would argue that the combat there is that. God, I don't want to spoil the damn game. Okay.
Spoiler
so-
warning for 1 minute. Go.
Yeah, okay, 1 minute spoiler warning in 3, 2.
No, they already
1.
started.
Okay.
I'm looking at the clock. Go.
Okay, that's fine. So with Monica, she's actively trying to basically convince you to stay with her.
But that's
Right.
part of her script.
So what if it's part of her script? Everything is scripted at some level. Even your combat system is scripted.
But this
Oh
is
my
like
gosh.
this is just like a first level scripting. There's like literally no other.
Well, how
Yes,
many?
but then where do you draw the line?
But aren't there two options in that situation? Like you
For the
delete the
PC.
file and start the game
No,
again, or you
that's
just
on
don't delete
your
the file
end.
and
I'm
start the
talking
game
about on the end of the computer.
To answer Andrew's question of where you draw the line, I think we all kind of have this idea of like a traditional combat system and like the kind of how there's like a multitude of choices and like freedom of movement and like all this stuff versus I don't know if Doki Doki Literature Club, if you can count that as combat, but I will say that in a sense that single choice you make could be alternative combat in the sense of file management.
I mean,
But
it
that-
depends on
Right, and that's my
Yes.
point. My point is that like thinking like you almost have to think of it from a different angle.
Okay, then you
Spoiler
can be
warning's
as
over, by the
pedantic
way.
as you want. I could say deleting a file in Windows Explorer is combat.
Well, I mean
It's
that
like
is by the
meaningless-
Hold
definition of
on,
combat, that is
Kingsway.
to take action to reduce, destroy, or
yeah,
prevent.
Kingsway.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is that's a meaningless definition. There's no practical use to
Wait,
that definition.
Kevin, is that why they call it task kill? Because it's
Yeah,
combat.
yeah, 'cause it's combat. No, like
Dude, but
turning
if you had
off
to
my
fight
computer-
your
turning off my computer is combat. You can say literally anything where you take an action as combat. That's a useless definition.
But can we just say then in a virtual world or in a game?
No, okay, then that's just an
But
arbitrary.
okay, I mean actually by the actual definition
Aren't
of
games
combat,
arbitrary?
Well, yes.
Isn't the definition? Isn't Bartlett's definition of a game the something to overcome?
Arbitrary, yeah.
That's insane.
No. What I'm saying is, if you want to make a
Bartle.
practical, useful definition, you can't just like take it to a logical extreme because then you're gonna get something useless. You
Well,
have to do
I-
something that's like.
I don't
practical.
I don't agree with that. It's actually questioning what qualifies that actually produces some of the most interesting results.
Well, as a philosophical exploration, sure, but like if you want to actually do it, you have to cut off somewhere and be like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous for a practical extent.
I mean, okay, you're going to choose a cutoff, but where you choose that cutoff is arbitrary. You could take it to its natural conclusion and take it all the way, and you might produce a really interesting game.
I think you could, but that's why I mentioned like kind of what Kevin's saying is like we have this traditional idea.
No, that's actually I don't know if I said it earlier, but I was thinking it. I was like thinking you guys are thinking traditional combat system, and that's actually why I made the battleship analogy even, because I felt like the battleship doesn't have the same degrees of freedom that even a human does, right? And a spaceship has different degrees of freedom than a human does. So combat's going to be definitively different even between different objects.
Yeah.
Behaving in different spaces.
So what kind of is there
the point of using like words like that is to have like a common ground with who you're speaking to. If you're gonna just go by an exact definition and try to push it as logically extreme as possible, then you're losing that common ground. Because
no, I mean, I think
it's gotten so meta.
No, it has gotten meta, and I did take it there. But the point is, we were talking about alternative combat systems, and that's why it got meta. If you wanted to talk about conventional combat systems, I'll talk to you about Doom for 20 minutes.
No, but I think even if we say alternative combat, you still have to stay within a certain bound to keep the discussion like actually like productive.
That's true.
Well, I think we were productive until we started arguing whether something was or wasn't combat.
Which is like because
realistically, you could push the boundaries out pretty far, but you will find something that's probably not the definition of combat because you're not actually trying to, reduce, destroy, or prevent. There are games where your only goal is to build, like a game where you cook food.
Well, no, but then that game just doesn't have combat.
Okay, so this is kind of reminding me that...
Right. No, that's my point. That's where you draw the line. It has combat or it doesn't have combat, and then you can start narrowing what combat you want to talk about. Traditional combat, other forms of combat. That was what I was saying. So you're right. You have to have you necessarily have to have a language that you discuss around it, but you have to know where to draw. Like you have to know where is the hardest fixed line in the sand. So then how can we talk about other ways of dealing with this?
Really quickly, Lily, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say this conversation was reminding me of that. Of the one time that this guy like submitted like just like a urinal to an art museum and said this is art, and people had a whole argument whether stuff like that could be considered art or not.
Yeah.
So this kind of reminded me.
Yeah, you're talking about a Duchamp.
Yeah, Duchamp. Right? That's right.
Yeah.
This conversation is heavily reminding me of that.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. No, that's a solid one.
Yeah.
Okay, so to end, to more or less like end
so
the specific
really
topic. Hold on, Andrew, wait. No, it's fine. No, that's totally fine. But to end this segment, I should have asked alternatives to traditional combat in games.
In which case, my answer was good enough, and now we're good. We can go on to the next one.
Okay, Kevin. Yes, yeah.
Wait, alternatives to traditional. Wait, that just includes everything that's not combat too.
It's like anything that's conflict, like cooking, dating, building stuff. I guess.
How about this?
If there's conflict, I wouldn't argue that there's conflict in all cooking, for example.
Without cooking battle royale.
Yeah.
Like Battle Chef.
There's already.
Yeah, that's combat for sure. That's combat cooking.
Yeah, there's already
Cook Serve Delicious
like
Versus, right? Which is actually
Shokugeki no Soma, the video game.
No, there's a game like that on Steam. It was
that anime is stupidly entertaining.
I stopped watching after the first season because like.
Okay, Lily, you were saying something?
I stopped watching because it ran out of episodes.
No, there was a game like that on Steam, like Battle Chefs or whatever.
Yes, that's the one I was referring to.
Okay.
It was by Adult Swim. Anyway, the next topic on the docket: what happened to single player in multiplayer games?
Guys, check out the. Okay, sorry, go on.
Monetization and the cost of building games.
What is?
Sorry,
wait, what is? What?
Just icons for each of us.
Yo.
Why is my face so round?
No, you don't have a face there.
Oh yeah, wait. Why do I have glasses?
I
Or
feel
is that
like-
Carlo?
Kevin.
Is that me?
I feel like we just achieved MS Paint Adventures, and it's great.
Yeah, I still
Wait, no,
Yeah,
okay.
actually, your
When I said
picture is
icons,
actually
I meant
pretty awesome.
literally use our Discord icons.
Is that what you've been
Okay,
doing this whole time?
I like what Matt drew for me. I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna complain.
I'm not that.
I want to
brown,
use my
right?
fox. This fox.
I don't
is
think
my
Lil and
life.
I are that brown.
Yeah.
Okay, I can change
yeah.
you. Now.
It's just the lighting in the rooms you guys are in. Don't worry.
It's also their
This is-
shitty webcams.
Yeah, you combine those two things, bad lighting and shitty webcams, and you basically like. Yeah, Lily just gained like 20 like 1,000
Shades.
lumens or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lumens. That's how much light you emit, not reflect.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's okay.
she
okay.
she just starts combusting, just
Oh,
radiating.
She becomes a projector. She's just projecting something on the wall.
oh
Oh,
no.
man.
So
Okay,
single
I'll-
player and multiplayer games.
Single
It's
player.
dead. No one cares anymore. It's so sad.
I don't want it to be dead,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't believe it is dead, but I do think that it's going to become increasingly less common in AAA games until it doesn't.
Well, okay. What are the
Back
popular multiplayer AAA games that still have single player modes?
Call of Duty's
Battlefield.
gone. Call of Duty's
Fortnite.
gone.
Fortnite has. Okay, Fortnite's a completely different game though.
Wait, is Fortnite
That's
and
a
Fortnite
single
Battle
player
Royale?
mode. That's literally what it was built on.
Yeah, no, what I'm asking is Fortnite and Fortnite Battle Royale still the same game, or are they different
Those
games?
are two different games.
Wait, if I download Fortnite, am I also getting the Battle Royale?
Provided you pay for the.
And is it
yeah.
a separate? Is it a one executable or two? I
I'm
think
pretty
it's
sure
part
it's
of it.
one executable.
Wait, so if you just download Fortnite Battle Royale, you get the original one too.
Provided you own a copy, yeah. I think that's my
then
understanding.
So you have to buy the other one separately then.
That's what I'm saying.
They're
Provided
still
you own a
charging
copy.
for the other one.
Wait, yeah, okay, no, then that's two different games. If you have to buy it separately, that's two different games.
No, okay, fine. Then any game where multiplayer exists in the game has the same that definition. It's a different game because like if you have to pay an online subscription fee on your console to play your
But that's
your
not
online
specific to the
multiplayer
game.
No, but that's not. You're not paying for that game. You're paying for the online subscription.
Lily just went
Well,
up.
what-
Hey
what-
guys,
what-
Lily
what
just
if-
went up.
What if they release multiplayer only DLC?
That's DLC. That's still part. That still goes with the same thing.
Yeah, but
Is
it's
this-
only
is this
for the
like a
multiplayer
separate- wait.
component.
So is this a separate executable? I think that's what it comes down to.
You would have to look it up. I don't remember.
Because
to be honest
if
with
it packages separately, that's a different game.
Okay, can we not classify things anymore? Lily, yes.
I was gonna suggest Saints Row 3. That had
Is that
multiplayer.
recent? That's not recent.
Isn't that hell old? Yeah.
Please tell
Not
me
that
that's
old.
old because if it's recent.
Saints Row
I don't
3,
know.
right?
Yeah.
Doom 2016.
Saints Row
had
3 came out in 2011.
multiplayer and
It did
single
have
player,
yeah,
and
Doom
it was known
2016.
for having a
No,
good
no,
single.
it just,
Saints
it
Row
was
the
the game that
third.
came to mind when you said.
And actually, its multiplayer wasn't as bad as it got credit for.
Yeah, I think it was
You
actually.
know, because that game just came to mind when you said a single player.
2011,
multiplayer
okay,
built in.
Yeah.
Saints Row 4 was 2013.
That's
League
still-
never had a single player.
How about what is that game where that got totally overshadowed because
Titanfall 2.
Thank you. Yeah,
Titanfall
didn't
2
that
did have single
both?
player. It did.
But Titanfall
and
2 was pretty
multiplayer.
old too, isn't it?
No.
No,
I know, dude.
Oh.
That's the problem. Honestly, Titanfall 2 is very good. And then
poor
it got
Titanfall 2. Like I got to play a little of it. I went over to Chaz's place and we were playing. Dude, that game is beautiful.
2016.
It has more. It has
Oh, okay,
more.
never mind.
It has more fine-tunable
October,
freaking
late
controls
2016.
and combat. It literally has animation curves for the way that you like run and like move. Like it's gorgeous. They
It's
spent
amazing.
So much
It's
time on the
really
way you
good.
control the game. Like it is absolutely insulting that game just got totally overshadowed because they released it alongside. Actually, what it was a
Overwatch
lesser
and
game.
something else. It was Overwatch and something else. I
Well,
forgot what it was.
Overwatch was at the beginning of the year. They released
that's
it
right.
alongside another EA game. It was like
Oh, was it?
Battlefield.
I think it was Battlefield. Yeah, it was just so
yeah,
stupid.
which is hilarious because the Battlefield games just pop, fizzle, and end now.
No,
That's basically what they do.
Battlefield 4 is still very active.
I mean, very active. Is,
Define where it is now versus where it was when it launched.
Okay, it's probably smaller than when it launched, but I mean, like, you can go on pretty much any time of the day and find a game in Battlefield 4, so it's still pretty good.
Okay, that's fair. But the thing is, honestly, I think that Titanfall 2 might have the same kind of following if it had just released at a time that people saw it in the first place.
Well, here's another question: do games even need single player anymore? Like, look at Overwatch. They just make movies.
The question is not do they need single player? It's
would it add
Is there
to the
an
game?
audience for single player games? Is that what you're showing?
the answer is
Hollow
Then
Knight.
you have games.
What if Hollow Knight had Kevin? What if Hollow Knight had multiplayer?
I mean, it depends on how they implement.
What if it's versus? What if it's like the Shovel Knight versus thing they're coming out with, which looks dope, by the way.
Hollow Knight
Shovel
versus
Knight's co-op was good too.
Hollow Knight. Actually, okay, like an
Oh.
arena style thing for Hollow Knight would be kind of cool, but
Did you guys see the Tordrun rework for Overwatch?
Yes, I did.
Oh my
I saw
god.
the video.
No,
I
I
don't think
haven't
they
seen
released
that.
footage though, did they?
I should take a look at
They
that.
released footage for it.
No way. Oh, I gotta look at that. I want to see the lava going everywhere. Anyway,
no. But then you have single player games which add like a multiplayer mode, and most of the time the multiplayer mode is garbage.
wait, what?
But sometimes it's good.
What game?
Yeah.
What game in the recent? I can't think of a game in recent memory that did that.
Uncharted
Okay.
4.
Single player
Really?
game that adds
I never heard of
multiplayer.
that.
Uncharted 4 has
I mean,
multiplayer. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Look,
The Civilization series. Civilization is built as a single player game, but it has a multiplayer feature.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
I've always thought of that as like a sort of a LAN party game. I don't know.
Same.
Let-
No,
let's-
okay,
let-
you can tell it's a single player game because the single player AI is 10,000 times better than the multiplayer AI.
Oh, really?
Or not like just it's like more skilled, but it's just developed better. And also the entire interface for multiplayer is just a watered down version of the interface for single player.
Wait, is it Civ 5 you're talking about, or which one?
Both 4 and 5. I don't know about 6. 6 might be different, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the entire Civilization series is built as single player first, and then they added multiplayer. Also, the
Huh.
netcode for Civ 5 is terrible.
Okay, that's believable. Yeah, totally.
so the thing I have to say, I think, on that note is that I think that multiplayer absolutely still has, or like single player absolutely still has a place in games, and I think that like crafted stories are not something people are going to stop wanting, and people don't always want other people to fuck with their crafted stories. Excuse the language. Like you don't just want your friends being all in your story ruining it for you. Like
Wait. That brings me. What about games where the single player mode is the multiplayer mode, like where you have invasions and stuff?
Like Dark Souls.
okay, two things then. Borderlands 2. I wanted
Borderlands
to go to
2 does it
Borderlands 2
really
for a
well. Really
That's
well.
for
I love
Borderlands 2 does it
Borderlands.
really well. I mean, it's probably a shining example, but even so, Borderlands 2 is dang near impossible to play alone
I was thinking more like.
if you get to a high enough level.
Can you guess which
Yes,
game I
yeah.
think of? Dark Souls.
I
Yeah,
was gonna,
that's-
well, you know what? I was gonna name Doom Eternal because I just want to say Doom Eternal has the invasion style mode that Dark Souls is gonna have. or
That's
that Dark
gonna
Souls
be
has.
insane.
And
What?
that's gonna be fucking
I'm pretty
cool.
sure the first game that actually did like the single player, like single player with multiplayer, was Demon Souls.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's the one.
I think you're right.
That's the one that made like the invasion system.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
probably.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Probably
But
did.
I am really excited to see that in a Doom game. To be
Oh,
quite
that-
honest with you.
That does remind me, Sekiro doesn't have multiplayer, which is kind of sad.
I'm.
Is that the one that they had at the PlayStation E3
Am
thing
I
this
missing-
year?
It's the new From Software game.
So
Oh.
it is the one for the PlayStation. Oh no, it isn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was
wait,
that was Sucker
Shadows
Punch.
died twice.
Yeah, Shadows Die Twice.
Okay, yeah, that's what I remembered it being called. Sorry, that's why I was confused.
The one with the grappling hook and stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, that doesn't have multiplayer, so I'm kind of sad about that. But
Well, multiplayer induces its own set of challenges, right?
I guess, but like if you
from
had the invasion,
netcode to I mean, invasion would be cool. for
It would
sure.
be pretty awesome, yeah.
No, I don't think Hollow Knight could have invasions.
It would be pretty awesome. Like a random like ghost.
Like
bug
I could just
beetle thing.
imagine that the team building the game is sitting there thinking, like, if we get rid of this one feature, we eliminate a substantial amount of complexity for development. Like, even
no,
though they
yeah,
always-
I can understand why they did it, but I'm just saying I'm sad to see it go.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, you might get something that is even better than what you've ever experienced because of that. Because now they really can tailor the experience to one player. Because when they anticipated that you could pull another player
I
in,
believe it's wheat.
you know what I'm saying? Like you get a different you get a different balancing experience for that.
Is that Kevin?
Well,
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Why
What?
is that me?
Is there another
That's
picture?
that's from what I can remember from memory of what Kevin looks like.
Why is my face on like the side of my head?
Matt, I think he wants you to copy paste his mouth so he has two mouths. I think
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
he's
yeah.
trying to say.
That's exactly what I wanted. Yeah.
Kevin,
Yeah.
you're looking at like a 45-degree angle. See, it's perspective.
And why is my mouth? Why is my mouth like under my eye instead of my nose?
Think of like Fairly Odd Parents perspective.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. I'll edit it. It's okay.
Nah, okay.
You know, the thing that concerns me most about that image, really thinking about it, is that Kevin doesn't have eyebrows.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was missing.
The eyebrows.
Like all
Andrew,
the,
you don't either.
Okay, no one has ears.
No, his
I have glasses.
I have
though.
my
I have
headphones on.
glasses, so that's
Okay,
okay.
anyway. Single player and multiplayer games. More or
Yeah.
less kind of dead at this point.
Do you know? I think
No.
something I wanna see being attempted is kind of like a multiplayer tycoon game.
I'm sure. They
Oh,
have
interesting.
something.
That does sound interesting.
Yeah.
I think we should literally
what
call the
SimCity
game
Online was
Multiplayer
supposed to be.
Tycoon.
No, okay, but see, here's a problem. A lot of the problem with games that are mainly like focused on single player that become multiplayer games is that they become optimized so quickly that it kind of ruins the fun half the time.
Optimized? Can you?
They just find the easiest way to win.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
I
of
was playing
course.
Civ. Like, I used to play Civ with my Civ by myself, right? And I was just like messing around, and I would do like
What?
all
Who's
kinds
whispering?
of stuff.
Who's whispering?
No, but then I started playing Civ with my friends, and I ended up just into a competition of who could like just do the fastest part. It just turned into a competition of who could just build the fastest, most optimized way.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this isn't the same fun I had earlier.
That's definitely true of strategy games. Yeah.
And also the same thing with Minecraft. Going back to that. Okay, except Minecraft is just too easy to optimize.
What if Minecraft had a single player? Oh, it does. Never mind.
What do you-
I forgot about that. It's literally called single player mode.
Players in it, yeah.
I forgot about that. I mean,
Okay.
that one's a separate game.
To be
Yeah, what
fair,
if
there have
we
been a
get-
lot
what
of
if we
really
get
good
invaded
single player
by-
games in the last handful of years.
Yes, I
And
agree.
people have played them. In fact, I think that I saw numbers fairly recently that show that there are still people playing single player games. But you know
Yes.
what I will say? The game that's the type of game that seems to be the most popular right now when given the opportunity is co-op. Whether it's local or online, people really, really enjoy being able to play with rather than against their
Oh
friends.
man, what was that one game?
Despite the fact that there is a subset of people that really like competitive play, and I have a lot of friends who are in that subset.
it was
as well.
like, it was called Epidemic or something.
Pandemic?
Pandemic, yeah.
Mhm.
What if that was like a video game instead of a board game?
That you're thinking of Plague Inc. Online.
No,
No, that's the
you're
that's the
descri- you're
exact
descri-
opposite.
No.
Wait, hold on,
You're
wait, hold on,
describing Tabletop
hold on.
Simulator.
They are okay. Tabletop Simulator, and they're bringing Pandemic to the Nintendo Switch. So you're welcome. It's also an iPhone app and Android app already.
I just have to say, like, for those in doubt, Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, just Tabletop Simulator. If you
You
want
can just
single...
tabletop simulate anything. By the way, built in Unity.
Yeah, sponsored by Unity. We're going out to their offices next week. We also have the
Not
fantastic
sponsored by
Unity.
Unity. They did not give us any money.
Yeah. Unity give us money.
But they are being
I
nice
mean,
enough to invite us over
They're also
there,
giving us
and
like free food, so that's sponsored.
We'll
enough
take
for
that.
them.
Okay, that is
I wanna play-
sponsorship. We'll take it.
I'll take that.
Lily, I played that game 5
Many of
days-
us love to build in Unity.
Wait, Matt, what did you say?
I play Job Simulator 5 days a week for 9-hour increments at a time.
Oh my god, Matt.
No, but
Wow.
actually, like, I need to get Rob's permission. Oh, anyway, so single player, multiplayer games. That was our piece on that, I think.
Okay.
Now on to the last segment to close it out here. The game idea generator, where I open up my handy dandy app here, get an idea for a game, and we all have to design the game. We don't have to make it, obviously, because that'd be like a 20-minute game jam, which is possible, but not really feasible. So here we go. I'm going to refresh the page like 3 times without looking. Okay, here we go. And our prompt is a war game where you trade with strongholds with monsters.
Oh,
Hey. Sounds like Skyrim.
Warhammer.
wait. Can you
Wait,
say
are we
the-
supposed to name a game? Is that what we're doing?
No,
No.
you make
No,
we
we're
make the
deciding.
game.
Can you say the prompt one more time?
Yes, I may. A war game where you trade with strongholds with monsters.
It's a word game, you said? Word?
War. W-A-R.
W-A-R, okay.
I'm going to write that down for the
That's li-
description.
You know, that reminds me, Andrew, of that game we were thinking of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's a game where you have strongholds. Wait, are we making up the name of the game? Is that what we're doing?
We're designing the entire game.
Just like talk about how you would design the game.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, cool. I could do that. I wasn't sure if we were trying to name a game that already exists because people keep saying like, oh, that's like that game that we. Okay.
Well, hold on. Wait.
That's
Actually,
usually
I'm gonna put the
game
prompt in chat so you guys can read it.
Yeah. Okay, so So the first thing is you have to have a Pokemon style capturing system. Clearly.
Okay.
But because it's you've got strongholds that maybe they're medieval strongholds, so instead of Pokeballs you just use nets.
So primitive.
I like how you just drag them around like, to every town you come to.
Yep.
You have encumberment, like in
See, the thing is you trade. You go to strongholds with monsters and you trade them, okay? So there's nothing saying those monsters are used for anything. They're just food. So guess what we just invented? We invented Monster Hunter, everyone.
Nice.
Oh my god.
But you okay, maybe part of it then, so that's a little different, is that the monsters have to be intact, like survived. You can't bring them dead.
No, you can bring them alive, then they'll kill them there.
Can't you just make friends with the monsters?
You bring them as food.
Oh,
Really, that sounds like
my
some kind of
attention.
alternative combat system.
It's like when people round up chickens and then they don't kill them until you're ready to butcher them and eat them.
Yes.
So they
you
go
got
and
my
they capture
attention
the
about
chickens
food
out
trade.
there and they bring them home.
So it's fresh and kosher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, there should be a game where you can just eat your enemies, like after you kill them.
That actually
mean
exists.
Kirby?
That exists.
Yeah, you
I
mean-
can name at least 2 games where you can do that. You can do
Really?
that in World of Warcraft if you're undead, and you can do that in what is that game called? It is Guild Wars. Guild Wars lets you do that.
Well, you can eat your enemies in Guild Wars. Wait,
If I remember correctly, you could. There was a cannibalized move. It was a good way for the necromancers, I think, to get some health back.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you can do it in Fallout too with a certain perk.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
I think you technically can do that in Skyrim too, because you can pick up like hearts and limbs and stuff. I mean, it's not.
I mean, that's
Eating them?
No, yeah,
if
but
you're
then
a
you can do that with
werewolf-
Breath of the
If you're a
Wild.
werewolf in Skyrim, you can literally attack and like eat the hearts of your enemies.
Delicious. I hear that they're quite nutritious too. So I don't. If you guys are cool with staying on for a couple more minutes, I have a question for you guys.
True.
Oh damn.
After you guys are done designing,
Oh dang.
No,
do
we
any
done
of you
designing?
have any
Like-
design ideas
Okay,
that you?
so-
Wait, hold on, wait. It has to be. It's a war game though. We forgot the war game part of it.
Oh,
What's war
yeah.
about it?
Another faction that's doing the same thing.
Yeah, well, yeah. So basically, if you take
What if
them
it's an MMO?
monsters and you try and
Oh,
sell it, yeah. If you take them the monsters and you try and charge them too much, they go to war with you.
I kind of like Kevin's idea a little bit more, where everyone's just always fighting.
Oh yeah, that's good too. I like that. Yeah. That's
Maybe
solid.
maybe you're like a scavenger and all of the cities are at war with each other, but you're just like, I'm trying to make my money, and you're like, but then it becomes like this moral
Yes.
dilemma of like, no, I have to side with the Montegulians
Horde.
because they with the
Man, I
horde.
love Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl.
Oh, Andrew, what's your question?
So
Are we
my
done with the
question
prompt?
is-
Hello.
Huh? Oh, are we? I can't think of anything else.
Wow. Okay. Should I re-roll the
Oh,
prompt?
okay. We could talk about combat for that.
Okay. What's the combat
kind of
system?
war?
I'm thinking like mass
Is it-
scale.
How about futuristic monsters? Okay.
Ooh.
Fantasy Star Online.
This is a
Just- I'm
space.
just gonna name
Hold on.
games.
What
I
if it's
can't-
a space war game where there are like Leviathan, like floating space Leviathans,
Lost Planet, dude.
I'm down.
and like no, that's it. And you capture them with your giant spaceship. Like you tractor beam them into your hull.
Wait,
and
have
then
you played
trade
Lost
them.
Planet?
I think I heard. Isn't that like a 2012 game?
Lost Planet 2 was more recent. I think they had Lost Planet 3, but
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
pretty
okay.
sure Lost Planet was when I was like in high school.
Yeah, I was
Bro,
gonna
Lost-
say.
Lost-
Lost Planet was such a cool game because you're like this little marine on like an alien planet, and there's like these giant aliens everywhere. It's super dope.
That actually sounds really cool. I should
That
try
is-
that game.
that
No,
is
let me
awesome.
pull up a screenshot.
feel
Oh
like-
no,
feel
wait,
like
let me
I've
pull up a
seen
screenshot of like
gameplay
the,
on
okay,
it.
the final boss is the final level. That's like how big it was. So
That is
like,
pretty dope. That sounds awesome.
I think it took up like a third of the planet.
And
or
then you
something.
kill the planet, and then you take it and trade the whole planet to another planet.
Yeah. That's
So
exactly
how many games do you do all of you posit, or like not actual number, but do you posit that there's probably a large number of games that got below like a C, like a 7.0 in ratings or a 3.5 in ratings, but are actually quite good games, but they're just targeting a niche audience, so the remaining audience pegs them as bad?
I'm pretty sure Lost Planet's ratings weren't that high. Oh, never mind. It was like a 68.
I think they're all.
Oh yeah, okay, that's below 70.
I think
It's
they're all
below 70, yeah.
games.
Yeah, no, Lost Planet 2. I love Lost Planet 2.
Like, do you feel like a game that's below a 70 is a garbage game?
No.
No.
Just by instinct, Andrew, I would reckon that there are a few games in there that get really low ratings that are for a perfect niche audience that are probably golden eggs for them, but
And they're probably 45. Dude, I posit that there's probably a large number of games in that cap.
I think it's
in the 55 to 65 range that are actually quite good.
I think the problem is that Video Game Donkey went over it in one of his like videos where he was talking about game reviewers, where it's basically once you like when you have a game reviewer that you follow like Donkey, you kind of understand like what he likes, what he doesn't like, so you kind of get an idea of how his rating scale works for games. But when it's like a publishing company like IGN, you have no idea what you're getting. It's a mixed bag because so many people write different articles. Unless you're following a specific author that you like kind of side with in terms of what they rate certain games, then you're gonna get lost in like, oh well, this IGN writer who happened to be reviewing this game on the Xbox was like, this game sucks, but then he just didn't like it, and everyone else at the IGN office ended up liking it. You know, something like it, you could have a situation like that.
Yeah, that definitely does happen, and it's actually kind of similar to like having the confirmation bias of just clicking only one YouTube video about a game, and then that person being like, it's garbage, but you don't really know what their slant or what their bias is.
Dude, that's like news.
Okay, wait.
It is, Matt. Wow.
What about games that like started out really bad but then got a lot better? Like
You
on
mean, like,
release, they're
No
pretty
Man's
good.
Sky?
So I'm gonna name
No
one,
Man's
but I
Sky,
haven't
PUBG,
played it in either
Rainbow
state.
Six.
I haven't played it in either
Rainbow
state,
Six was
but people
bad?
do claim it's
On
better.
release.
Can you guys guess what game I'm thinking of? It's very recent.
Chivalry?
Got better.
For Honor?
Chivalry was
I meant
already.
For Honor.
No,
I'm sorry, I meant For
Chivalry
Honor.
went the other way. Jeez, yeah. Chivalry started amazing. It just
I meant
went-
For Honor.
For Honor.
The game that I'm thinking of though is actually a game that has skies in it.
No,
I said
Is it
No Man's Sky
fucking
already.
man?
Oh, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. I heard a bunch of other talking, and I did not hear that. Apologize.
That was like the first thing I said.
Did you? Oh shit! I'm sorry. Well, it's all right. We got to name a bunch of other games too.
Yeah.
What's another game that started out really bad but got better? I think Rainbow Six was probably the biggest comeback because on release it was apparently really bad, but then now it's like has a pretty good player base.
Oh wait,
PUBG's getting
I have
better,
a
but
game
it's
for
lost
this. I
most of
just
its
got to
player
think
base.
about it.
Okay, maybe
You know,
we should save this
actually,
for...
Diablo 3 had a pretty botched launch.
Yes, it did. Maybe we should save this for next week because we're kind of done for now. So I'll add it to the docket for next week.
Oh wait, I have
games
something
that
for the
were
docket
bad.
for next time too, because I was going to ask it this time.
Okay, well ask it this time really fast.
All
I'll
right.
get
So
a sneak
the
preview.
question I have is, what do you guys think as far as video game monetization strategies? What platforms do you as indie devs think are the most valuable for you? And I'll preface that by naming a couple to help you guys out. Kickstarter, Steam, Itch.io, Patreon, GameJolt.
You can kickstart your game. You can put your game on Patreon if you want to support your thing long term. Microtransactions, depending on how they're done, are fine. And
I mean, the only
DLC
thing
is
I've
okay,
ever
as long as it's like, as long as the game itself is worth as long as the game without the DLC is actually worth the $60, and it's not like the game is like basically garbage without.
Dang,
DLC.
$60. That's money.
That's money for an indie game.
Oh,
Yeah.
Specifically indie games.
I said for you guys, yeah, you individually.
Oh,
What is
The only
your
thing I've ever
strategy?
used is Itch.io. I've made $1 off Itch.io.
I've made like
Nice.
I made
15.
$2 off Itch.io, but from a friend. So,
Oh no, wait,
I
that
don't
$1 is
count
split amongst 4 people actually, so it's 25 cents.
Actually,
Yeah.
though, I will say it was $2 from a friend who I didn't have to convince very hard. I was just like, "Hey, I released my game. Would you like to go buy it?" And they're like, "Yes, I would." And they went and they looked at it and they were like, "This looks cool," and they bought it. So I mean, okay, that works, I guess.
Well, we can go in depth on it next week. Thank you all for listening to this week's rendition of this Game Development Club at San Jose State's podcast, episode number 4. We'll be back next week for episode number 5, even though uni trip is on Friday. So I just realized that might have to be rescheduled or something. I have absolutely no idea that's gonna work actually. Well, you know what? We'll do the podcast on the bus. That sounds
sick, dude.
I am fucking down for that.
That sounds
with 20 people. Yes, you're right.
20 people.
But we have like 20 something. Andrew, you got the email. That whole email list, everyone confirmed.
Dude, that's amazing.
That's what we were actually trying to get the charter bus from AS, but because we a bunch of people joined in late,
close it
we
out
couldn't.
and then talk about this.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, yeah. Thank you all for. Bye.